It's officially do or die time for the Edmonton Oilers. Down 3-2 in the series. Backs against the wall, gentlemen. It's gut check time, as they'll need a win tonight to force a do or die Game 7 back in Vancouver. They're going to have a new man in the pipes this evening. There's a nervous energy, you could say, in the city right now, as we can feel it downtown at Greta. I said to you, Tyler, I watched the 2006 Game 6 Stanley Cup intro at least 5 times today, so I'm properly hyped. I knew you are. I mentioned a new goalie. We got a new face on the show today, Frank Saravalli, making your pregame debut. Thank you for joining. But as I said, hello and welcome to Pregaming with BORDZY, brought to you by Sherwood Ford and the Giant. Subscribe to the YouTube. Drop down your courtesy like. We need them big time this evening, and get in that YouTube chat. I'm your host, Aaron Bordato, my pal Tyler Yaremchuk. But the man of the hour, it's Frank Saravalli, live and in the flesh. Frank, thanks for joining. Saturday night, hockey night in Canada. Where else would you rather be than here right now and in Rogers Place in about an hour or so?
The answer is nowhere. I mean, what is better than this? Elimination game, 2 Canadian teams, a really tight series. Every game decided by 1 goal. A couple games decided in the last seconds, dying seconds of regulation. It's been an unbelievable action-packed series with no shortage of interesting things to question, starting with now, from the Oilers' perspective, again, the second time in this series. Is this the right call, going to Stuart Skinner?
Oh, man. That is...
You can't even say that's unfair.
No.
Pat,
It's not.
Make a poll if you like the decision or not. I'm a big poll guy lately.
For me, I get it. And I think, honestly, every decision Chris Knobloch's made so far, going again to Skinner in Game 3, and then going to Pickard in Game 4, going back to Pickard in Game 5, and then going to Skinner now in Game 6. They haven't all been the moves I would have made, but what I've always said is they're all been incredibly justified. Like, moving away from Skinner made sense. Going back to Pickard.
This one's the hardest one, though.
This one is the hardest one.
This one doesn't make a ton of sense to me, if I'm being
If you're looking at .793 save percentage in the series, you're going, I don't really feel great about that. And then you're also thinking that he's going into it thinking he has a short leash. That's the tough part. But I think I get where they're coming from, because I agree with you. I think the last thing the Oilers wanted to do was go to Cal Pickard 4 consecutive games. And there were quite a few pucks that got behind him that didn't end up counting, but he was still beaten by those pucks in Game 5.
Yeah.
But this is a fascinating decision. I mean, you're going with a guy who, small sample size, larger sample size, his entire playoffs in his career, he's cracked under pressure.
Yes.
And so you have your season on the line. And I guess maybe when it all comes down to it, this is the calculus, which is our team's defended pretty well, and we're going with the person we believe is the more talented goalie, and we're going to bet another season of the Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl experience on Stuart Skinner rather than Cal Pickard.
And not that you want to go into these kind of decisions thinking negatively, but I just feel like if you were to go to Pickard for a 3rd straight game, you could, and it goes bad. Let's say that goes terribly, and he gives up 3 weak ones in the first, and you're like, holy, like, we're cooked. You sit there all summer going, why did we go with him a 3rd straight game? At least,
but you're going to say that same exact thing if Skinner.
But if you go with Skinner, at least I feel like you can sit there and go, we went with our guy, and our goaltending wasn't good enough. Like
and that's what the storyline would be, right?
That's what the storyline.
If they lose in this round, it would be our goaltending blew up.
Because if the goaltending was, again, I've said this line countless times now, if the goaltending was just bad and not terrible, you're back in Philly, we're chilling, this series is done.
Probably. But I'll tell you what, that also probably discounts the Canucks a little bit.
Yeah.
Because full marks they earned and won Game 5. They were the way better team in Game 5.
Yeah. No debate there at all. They were the way better team. My thing with the decision to go with Stu is that last year you did this dance where you went in Game 6 with Stu over Jack Campbell because that was your guy and you rode him.
But the difference is you never went away from him. You went away from him.
Every single time they went back to him.
Away from him and they went back to Campbell. I don't know. I'm a what have you done for me lately kind of guy. And Calvin Pickard, simple math, 9-10 is a lot better than a save percentage that starts with a 7. I see right now, though, Ty, the poll. Are we happy with Skinner and net? It's 56% yes.
Yeah, I mean,
44% no. We're not sure.
You get the optimistic Oilers fan bump in there, which 100%, as you should. I'm optimistic about it as well. You got to beat the Canucks 2 times in a row. You obviously have not done that yet in this series. You haven't done that all season, losing to them in the regular season. I'm totally cool with banking on the upside of Stuart Skinner here. I think it's fine.
Well, you just said it. It's fine. That's it. Like, that's the way everyone feels about this. And here's one of the other things. I'm not playing devil's advocate because I came yesterday and I came on multiple appearances and said I would go back to Stuart Skinner.
Yep.
And I understand why they did, but I don't think that makes anyone feel warm and snuggly. And on top of that, I also think there's some kind of eye test thing that this Oiler team looked a little bit more comfortable defending in front of Cal Pickard because there was this idea that they didn't feel like they had to be perfect. And they didn't have to be in games 4 and 5.
They love Stu, though. Like, Stu's, a very beloved teammate in that room. Maybe
I'm not saying he isn't, but I'm saying, did you hear them gush about Cal Pickard?
And yeah, I mean, what are they going to say?
It's not like there's a drop-off in terms of the
I'm not saying there's a drop-off, but
amount of guy we like.
I think
I'm not going for that loose puck because it's Stu.
Yeah, that's a good point. I just think there's a little bit tonight of, okay, let's fight for him. Like,
we got to fight for our season.
Yeah,
we're putting everything's on the line.
Yeah.
So, like, you're going to get that regardless of who's in net.
We hope.
Well,
Fans hope.
And against the wall, dude, the only move you have is to come out swinging. That's why I think the start tonight is going to be massive. And Stuart Skinner, I said all playoff long, he has the most pressure out of any Oiler on this team tonight. That ratchets up big time. What do you think the hometown crowd?
I actually think I don't think the most pressure is on Stuart Skinner tonight. No, I think it's on Connor McDavid. 1 point in his last three games. He doesn't look right to me. I think there's something that's clearly bothering him. I don't think he's been right for the last chunk of the season. And they've delivered, those two guys, 29 and 97 have delivered every time that you've asked them to. This is one of those nights. And I feel like when they are asked to do a lot and they are asked to play a lot, last game it looked like they kind of wore down a little bit. And maybe that's the taxing part of this series, in that you had 2 games in a row where they were hovering right around 30 minutes. The next game you were able to dial it back in 4 because you put Pickard in and because he got you stops. But just like this season, the mantra should have been burn the boats. That's what it is for tonight. But then if you empty the tank and let's say you win, 48 hours later, you're returning and trying to do it again. It's an uphill climb. It really is.
It is. Do you think maybe that the minutes that I'm looking here, 28-12 in game 2, 29-42, like you said, in game 3, they were able to dial it back a hair in games 4 and 5. They kept those big guns all off the ice for the last 2 days as well. So I think they're cognizant, at least, of what they've put those guys through over the last couple of games.
But here's the other reason why I'm saying it, because I don't think the Oilers are close to 100% tonight. We know Adam Henrique isn't playing. We know that Matthias Ekholm was sick a few days ago before game 4. He was a game time decision. There's multiple other players, I'm told, in that locker room right now that are sick. If everyone's not at 100%, and then Adam Henrique obviously still out, there's a legit lineup game time decision for Chris Knobloch to make tonight. Probably going to be Sam Carrick in and Corey Perry out, potentially, if that's what ends up happening. But that goes to tell you that Corey Perry might play if someone else can't go. And another reason why it heightens the pressure, I think, on 97 to deliver. Because if you already haven't gotten a lot from your depth, and on a night where people might be sick, man, I mean, you're hoping for an MJ flu game is what you're looking for.
Frank, you're here to hype the people up.
He's here to actually, I'm probably here to hype us up. He's here to deliver us the truth.
But no, I'm actually here to deliver the news, which is what your fans deserve, which is the truth of what's actually happening.
But what you said earlier today, Frank, when we were hanging out, Oilers sick, guys banged up, going back to Stu, like all these things. Isn't that the beauty of sports, though? Is that sometimes you sit there and you go, it makes no sense for the Oilers to be able to come out with their best effort of the series tonight. So many things working against them, but son of a bitch, sometimes it just goes that way.
That's what makes sports so enthralling, so must watch, is we could all sit here and feel as confident as you want to about anything. That's not, the better team doesn't always win. I think the Edmonton Oilers are the better team in the series. I think their ceiling is a lot higher than the Vancouver Canucks. But the reality check is the Oilers have been chasing the series. Down 1-0, down 2-1, down 3-2. Anytime they've gotten punched in the mouth, they've found a way to respond, but now you've got to do it twice in a row.
You got to win 2 in a row. Let's talk about the other team on the other side of the ice there, the Vancouver Canucks. Rick Tocchet, he called out a number of his players, 6 to 8, called them all passengers, made some big lineup changes in the last game. Nice. But Ilya Mikheyev, he was out. Linus Karlsson, he was out. Sam Lafferty out. Noah Juleson as well, obviously, for Carson Soucy. But Tocchet called out his guys, and they seemed to respond. As you mentioned, they outworked, outclassed, out whatever word you want to use.
Yep.
The Edmonton Oilers in Game 5. Felt like you didn't even need to play those final 40 minutes because it was 4 shots in period 2, 8 in period 4.
But
too little, too late.
By the way, it was tied until the last 31.9 seconds. Bananas.
Hey, Frank, you've covered this Canucks team now for a couple of series. Where does, on a scale of F to A+, as bad as they can look, as good as they can look, where does Game 5 against the Oilers rank on that scale?
A+. It's
So-
their best game of the playoffs.
So isn't that maybe a sick, twisted way to be optimistic if you're an Oilers fan tonight? Is like the Canucks had their best. The Oilers did not. 1-goal game, needed a playoff skate to go right to JT Miller to win it.
I guess. I mean, but that's the scary part.
We got him.
Woo! My response to that, if you're banking on that for hope, it would be that they didn't play their best game until Game 5, and they still have a 3-2 series lead.
Yeah.
And they're doing it with a third-string goaltender.
So here's what I would look for hope. If I were being realistic, I would say Rick Tocchet has made some incredible game-to-game adjustments. This series has been a chess match. We talked about how close it's been to this point. What does Chris Knoblauch have up his sleeve? And I'm not just talking about the lineup. I'm talking about, why did your power play go 0 for 5? Why did you allow the Vancouver Canucks to pressure you and your defensemen as much as they did on the forecheck? There's a lot of different ways that they can relieve that pressure. There's a lot of different ways that they can find different looks on this historically good power play that just happened to be powerless at the wrong time of the year. After being so good these playoffs, all you needed was one of those. You get one more power play goal in the first period, you probably put the game away. You get one in the second period, same kind of thing. That's the tough part, is like, it wasn't just that Vancouver played their best game of the series. It was that the Oilers also played their worst.
I could say as well, one guy that has struggled so far, he hasn't scored a goal now in 4 games, which ties his longest stretch this regular season, Zach Hyman. What have you thought of the Oilers' power play and how the Canucks have defended it well? As you just mentioned, round 1, completely different story, absolute domination. It felt like a lock.
It was domination until that game, though. They had a chance.
The Canucks got aggressive.
100%. I was getting to that point.
That's my
They were 5 for 10 heading into Game 5 on the power play. They were very nearly one post away from 6 for 10, which would have been like Harlem Globetrotters like numbers. 6 for 10 on the power play. Are you kidding me in a series? But the Canucks were not just aggressive, but aggressive in control, if that makes any sense. Because there's this crazy fine line that exists when it comes to the playoffs where you can either be aggressive or you can go way over it. And when you go overboard, it's just as bad as sitting back, if not worse. It's more dangerous. And so Rick Tocchet talked about this idea of finding spots and getting to them and going hard. He called them landmarks. And that part to me was so interesting to watch, of how they managed the Oilers power play. That's why I said, if you're looking for hope, it's like, hey, we've got the best power play ever. Maybe we got to be on point tonight.
A lot of my arguments tonight are there too. Connor McDavid's not going to be that quiet again. Zach Hyman's not going 5 goals without a game. Power play's not going over in back-to-back games. Oilers haven't had their A+ level effort in 5-6 games now. They're due.
That's your excuse for everything, though.
Oh, yeah, I know, because it's impossible to argue.
Gambler's fallacy.
Gambler's fallacy. You go up to the roulette table, Frank, 8 spins in a row, it's red. You're going black.
But you do know that in roulette, the next spin has nothing to do with what happened before it. Like, nothing.
Oh, I'm aware I'm delusional. That's hard to argue against.
Okay.
It's just what's allowing me to find comfort.
And I'd argue in the McDavid thing.
I love that he's like, do your own research, like as if to say, like, hey, I'll do whatever I want to do.
That's what that means.
But in the McDavid discussion, I would argue that through 5 games, he's been shut down in 4 of these. Is that fair to say? He had the 1 4-point game with him and Leon Draisaitl. And other than that, And you got to give credit where credit's due. JT Miller, that top line, they've done a great
Yep.
job. JT Miller has still provided sneaky offense while having to shadow 97 throughout the game. Of course, it was him who scored the game winner in Game 5. But what have you thought of JT Miller defensively? Is he the reason that McDavid's been struggling? Is it a combination of
No.
the big, strong D-man on the back end? Is it a McDavid health thing on his own?
I think
What
it's
do you
McDavid health first and foremost. I think he looked really good in that one Game 2 when he found that moment, and that was like everything that the Oilers wanted to bottle up and bring with them to Game 3, which they just didn't. And so that, I think first and foremost, it's health. I think I would say second, it's lack of space. I wouldn't, like, as good as Miller has been, I wouldn't give him all the credit, because he also acknowledged that at times this series he's been giving them too much respect. But they're obviously really cognizant of him, and anytime you've seen McDavid get the puck on his stick, it feels like there's a Canucks player within a stick length at any time.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree anymore. Frank, I know we're going to let you go in just a little bit. So anybody in the chat, we were going to do a Q&A here down at Greta. Also, should say, shout out to Greta. We are down here downtown in Edmonton. Come on down. We're not going to be doing a watch party or an event tonight, but Pat and I will be here throughout the game. Maybe we'll be going back to the office for the post-game show. But you know it, your best spot in the city for all your pre- and post-game needs.
I got one for Frank.
Yeah. Let him come in the chat now.
Yeah, Henrique, obviously, it was up and down, and I do think it was, not quite a game-time decision, but they were waiting and seeing. If he can't go, I know there was rumblings it would be Perry coming out if Henrique could go. If you were in charge, who would the next man in be? Would it be as simple as get Sam Carrick in his grittiness? Would you look for some maybe touch and scoring with a Sam Gagner? What would you do?
I just don't think Gagner can keep up, and that's my big concern. That said, I know you could make the same argument about Henrique, and we know he's not playing, so kind of a moot point, but I think Henrique is smart enough, even on 1.5 legs, to be able to get to where he needs to be. And I also think one of the big things in this series has been the Oilers have been crushed in the faceoff dot, particularly when some of the top players have been on the ice. Lindholm has eaten their lunch in the faceoff circle. So that's been big. I would say I would go with Carrick, but if it were up to me, I'd stick with Corey Perry. And I know that's not a popular answer, but guess what? Between Carrick and whoever else might play in that spot, how many of those guys have had 50-goal seasons? How many of those guys have won a Hart Trophy? How many of those guys have won a Stanley Cup? I don't care when you say, oh, well, it's about what you can do right now. We're talking about one game, one moment in time. I don't know.
That's a good point.
I don't want to be too strong on my word, but like Corey Perry almost scored in Game 3 the third period of Game 5, despite having nothing going for him the entire series. And then he does that one time, and you're like, you have gone out and totally redeemed yourself. That's what would have happened had Corey Perry scored. And that could still happen tonight.
He's had over 200 career playoff games. Guys like that don't grow off trees in big moments.
You signed him for a
tonight.
reason. Like, you didn't bring, like, I know you traded for Sam Carrick, but he hasn't played since round 1, Game 3. I'm sorry. I'm sticking with the 50-goal Hart Trophy winner.
Yep. Another question I see here in the chat. Everybody wants to know, you touched on it a little bit earlier. They want to know who's sick.
I actually don't know the answer. I think there's multiple guys that are sick, multiple players that are sick right now. I think more than 3 or 4.
Okay, absolutely. Final question I have for you. Score prediction? Anytime goal scorer tonight. You need anytime goal scorer as well.
I'm going to say Evan Bouchard, anytime goal scorer, and I'm going to say Oilers win 4-2. Woo. With
Sweaty.
an empty netter.
Sweaty, super sweaty.
Thank God, that makes me feel better. Frank, thanks for joining us before. I know you're going down to Rogers Place tonight. Enjoy Edmonton, enjoy the vibes, and enjoy the chaos after this game.
We'll see. I'll either be going to Vancouver tomorrow or going home. So either way, it's going to be pretty tasty.
Yeah, okay. Thank you very much, Frank. We appreciate you. Shout out to Greta Bar-Yag for throwing on this beautiful event. Greta, your favorite spot for all your pre or post game needs. My favorite spot in the city, my absolute favorite watering hole. This place, even on Thursday night after a tough loss, it was absolutely bumping. They got the patio open right now. They got their new menu coming out, Tyler. Vibes be good at Greta. And I said it was a painful way to end it on Thursday night, but that dance floor was turning up afterwards, Ty.
Yeah, it always is down here. Tonight, though, man, I mean, you just think about the way this night could set up purely from a vibes and just memories perspective. Game 6, bright out, springtime, good weather, downtown Edmonton, 6 o'clock puck drop. So when this game wraps up, it's 8:30, 9 o'clock at night. Like, this city will be vibrating and buzzing if the Oilers can come through with a victory here tonight.
I'm already vibrating and buzzing. I am ready to go tonight and get a couple pregame beers in us. But hey, the playoffs are here, people, and it's time to oil up. Nation Gear is here and ready to gear you up for the playoff run. You can't get one of these bad boys. This is one of two. But you can rep your favorite team as they battle for the cup. You see it here on your screen. We got blue, black, white t-shirts. We even got some snapbacks. I know Tyler's been rocking one of those bad boys. You can shop them exclusively at nationgear.ca. Those shirts are beautiful, and we need to do everything we can. You can hear the honking and everything going past us right now. Shout out to this city. Everything
Wow.
shouts out.
Is that a train horn?
That is loud as holy shit. How many flags does that guy have on his car? Shout out to Oil Derek's Lance Kane. Shout out you as well. Let's get into our need to know info, courtesy of Wilhauk Beef Jerky, because only the finest tasting meat products earn that Wilhauk name. Made from 100% pure Alberta beef. Their jerky is aged, seasoned, marinated, and smoked to savory perfection. They gladly fill orders of any size. You can find their jerky, sausage, and other products exclusively out of their Leduc, Spruce Grove, and West Edmonton Mall kiosk location. So need to know for the Edmonton Oilers. Rico Adam Henrique is confirmed out. He'll be missing his 5th game of this series. Nobby wouldn't commit to Corey Perry sitting out. We believe that's due to sicknesses in the lineup. We'll see, but we know no Rico. Perry, though, was out for optional skate with Broberg, Sam Gagner, Calvin Pickard. So that would make you think that he's going to be watching from the press box tonight. Keep it locked on Twitter. They should be hitting the ice soon. But as I said for Corey Perry, dude, I mentioned you the stats yesterday on ONE. 5 games, 0 points, 3 shots on goal. Needs to be better.
Yep.
He knows it, but I like the point Frank made there. In a do-or-die playoff game like this, Corey Perry is one of the guys that definitely has the experience to do it. I don't know. Am I just grasping at straws because I feel like I've been doing it all playoffs long?
Yeah.
Why do I think he'd do it in this moment? Where do you come out on that? What do you think of Frank's take?
So here's my thing with that, and I totally understand where Frank's coming on with that one. Of like, hey, if anyone in this lineup can do it, like, look at what Corey Perry's done in his career. But if it was as simple as turning it up for one game, like,
he would have done that already.
Right? Like, if it's simply a matter of Corey Perry wanting it, he would have done this stuff already for the Oilers. So that's where I kind of go with a guy like Gagner, who has shown he still has good offensive touch, plays with this. You know, it's not the same. It's actually, you know what? I'll say this. It's the exact same speed as Corey Perry with maybe a bit more intensity to it. He isn't afraid to lay the body.
Smoother, maybe.
Yeah, right? It feels like there's a little bit more urgency when Sam Gagner is on the ice. So that's the change I would make, not just purely from a heart perspective, from a what I think helps this team win perspective. But I have a funny feeling if someone is that sick tonight, and who knows who the sick player potentially is, I think we'll end up going right back to Corey Perry in the lineup.
Yeah, absolutely. Other notes: McDavid, Draisaitl, Bouchard. They be 1, 2, and 3 in playoff scoring right now. Connor only has 1 point in his last 3 games. Leon, he's registered 11 points in the series so far, and Leon has a point in every single playoff game so far this year. He'll be featured in Bordzy's bankroll earlier. I see you right now.
Yeah, I'm doing my own
making
little
a couple
bankroll
wagers right here. We always do it during the Need to Know info, too. It's a good time to get that going. The Oilers, though, they have found themselves in this situation 3 separate times in the McDry era. They hammered the Ducks at home by a score of 7-1 back in 2017 to force Game 7. Not going to talk about what happened in that Game 7, but they played good in Game 6. 2022, they were down 3-2 to the LA Kings. They won Game 6. We all remember Evander Kane.
Yeah.
I re-downloaded that photo to put on my Instagram story later tonight, just in case.
You never know.
When it happens. When, in fact, it happens. They won Game 6 and 7 that year against the Kings. And then last year, we remember they lost to the Golden Knights Game 6 at home. We're not able to force that 7th game. Pretty much everyone at the company was at that game last year. I do not want those same memories of walking out of Rogers Place going, man, we're not going to be back here until a couple months. Final note, it's Stuart Skinner time, baby. He's back in the crease. He's making his return to the net. He has registered a .793 save percentage through 3 starts, but he's been the guy all season long. He's been a bounce-back guy all season long. I know it hasn't happened in this series. We talked about it off the hop of the show. Maybe not the move I would have made. I probably would have went with Calvin Pickard. I like the confidence from Chris Knobloch, and Stu's been our guy all season. Me and you have been believers to the nth degree that Stuart Skinner and do this. I'm not changing my tune now.
Yeah, he's your guy, man. Like, again, he struggled. No one's going to say he didn't, but I know the playoffs haven't been kind and the regular season's a different beast, but I feel like Skinner took a lot of really big steps forward during the regular season. The amount of games where he'd give up an early one and be able to shake it off and dial it in. The playoffs are a different pressure. I get it. But this guy was one of the best goalies in the NHL for a 3-month stretch. You could argue he was the best goalie in the NHL for about a 4 or 5 week stretch.
For about 16 wins?
Yeah, like, again, if you don't believe in that guy tonight, what are you doing? I have a hard time arguing against going back to Skinner. The other thing, too, is with Pickard, I know it's game by game in the playoffs and you can't look far ahead, but whoever you go with tonight's your guy in game 7.
Yep.
Pickard 2 in a row was a risk. It paid off. Pickard 3 in a row is a risk. Who knows if it would have paid off. Pickard 4 in a row. Like, again, this guy is a journeyman goalie for a reason. Going back to Skinner, it's justified.
Skinner's your guy, and you hope he is. Mention it, though. Nobby has balls of steel so far in this series. He switched up the goalies. He switched up the decor. He split up 97 and 29. Hashtag in Nobby we trust tonight, people. Lance Kane. Get it going in the chat. On the Vancouver Canucks side of things, they're expected to roll out the same lineup as Thursday night. And why would you change a thing? As I said, they were the dominant team for definitely 40 minutes, felt like 60. That means Lindholm will continue to play with EP40 and Nils Höglander, while Teddy Bluger will center the Dakota Joshua and Connor Garland line, which has been given the Oilers fits. EP40, though, he got called out by his coach before the last game. He came out, he registered an assist on that game-winning goal. I thought he was better. And JT Miller, of course, is the guy. I said that toothless, smiley grin, zooming in for his goal celebration. Top 3 most punchable face in the NHL. Decor, they're rolling with the same unit they've gone. They're big, strong, physical D-man, Nikita Zadorov. I assume he'll continue to be enemy number 1. If you're at the game tonight, you boo the shit out of him.
I will. Don't
Every
worry,
time he touches that puck, he's been a menace all series long. And I couldn't believe these numbers when I saw him. He actually has more 5v5 production in these playoffs than Connor McDavid. Little Z has 4 goals and 7 points at 5v5. Connor McDavid has 1 goal and 6 points, 5v5. That's a stat I never thought would come out of my mouth.
It is crazy, man. Like, McDavid drying up the way he has at 5-on-5 it's not good. It really does make you wonder, is there injury? Is it the illness? Is it both that's really dragging him down? Because we've seen him be productive through injury and illness. Is it maybe both? Like, that's
the
one
perfect storm, dude.
Yeah,
I think
like,
it is. Big D-men, JT Miller,
I know.
injured, sick.
And I'm very positive coming into this one here tonight. But the idea of this Oilers team just having 6 or 7 of them be sick as dogs behind the scenes trying to get ready, like, again, if you win tonight, it's gutting one out.
It's gut check time.
Like, it is.
It is absolutely. So let's get into it with our Sherwood Ford Giant storyline this evening. For me, it's just that. It's do or die, back against the wall. The line I said earlier, what do you do with your back against the wall? You come out swinging. I want the start of all starts tonight, especially in home ice. I want the crowd to be behind Stu. If a puck touches his pads at the beginning, you're screaming Stu to get behind him and show that. But I want physicality. I want dump and chase off the first draw. Go find a D-man and run him into the boards. Get the crowd into this game. It's home ice for a reason. You need to take advantage of it. I know the crowd is going to bring it, so it's up to the boys on the ice to try and bring it as well. That's my storyline. Do or die. Throw everything you can. Empty the tank tonight.
Yeah, my storyline's desperation, man. Like, it's as simple as that. I just think if you're not going to come out with your absolute best possible effort tonight on home ice after the game and series you've had up to this point, if tonight isn't your best, if you aren't swinging for every puck, hitting every body, throwing everything on net, crashing the blue paint, and trying to get in Silov's head a little bit, then there are big, big questions
you don't deserve
to be
to
asked.
win.
You don't deserve to win. They need to absolutely go out there and just play like they wanted a little bit more than they did on Tuesday night or Wednesday night. Thursday night. Jesus.
Third tries the charm.
I was circling it.
I agree. Absolutely, dude. It's The moment JT Miller scores that goal, he puts the camera in my face right after the fact.
The worst.
And I said it right there. I had no words to say. And I went, they were the better team. We did not deserve to win that game. I feel like that again tonight. You put your number one goalie in the net. You've got your guys going. There's no excuse time. It's no excuse time. Tyler, I'm going to let you go in just a little bit. Let's get into it. Take a peek, though, at the projected Edmonton Oilers lineup brought to you by Sherwood Ford, the Giant for a reason. They're home of the Giant Advantage and Dealer Raiders, Alberta Ford Story of the Year, and they won the award for customer satisfaction. They have a giant selection of new and used vehicles. It's the best place to find, finance, and service a Ford vehicle in the Edmonton and Sherwood Park area. You'll find giant deals and a giant array of services and perks too. Whether you prefer shopping online or in-store, they tailor the shopping experience to you from people who really care. So once again, we'll keep it locked on Twitter as they should be hitting the ice. This is the lineup they went with in the last game. We'll see about one Corey Perry. No Adam Henrique in the lineup. Nuge, McD, Hyman, Hollywood, Draisaitl, Evander Kane, Warren Fogle, Ryan McLeod, and Corey Perry. Fourth line, who I thought was excellent in the last game. Yeah. Arguably the best line, Janmark, DR10, and Connor Brown. D pairings, they're going to stay the same themselves. And my thing is, line one, they were borderline invisible. I want to say in that last game, they were not there, and the effort you're going to need to see from them tonight. We've seen it from Connor McDavid in the past. Remember Game 7 against the Kings? He laid out Sean Dursey.
Right off the bat,
and he got the crowd into that game, and it was rolling. What do you need to see from that top line specifically early on? What are you looking for? Because as I mentioned, Zach Hyman hasn't scored a goal in 4 games. It's the longest he's gone this entire season. Top line, what do you need to see at the beginning of the game?
Killer instinct. It feels like at times they've been a little bit too cutesy, trying to, wait for the perfect backdoor feed or whatever. Why don't we funnel pucks on net? Why don't we crash the net? Zach Hyman, you're a guy who scored, 40-some goals from right in front of the blue paint? Okay, that works. We know that works. We saw it over 82 games. It works. Send Hyman to the net. If you're McDavid, Nugent Hopkins, whoever's on the blue line there, funnel pucks towards Seelovs. Get yourself a bounce. The playoffs are random. Shit like that goes your way, but you have to create your own luck. You have to create your own bounces. You have to create your own randomness. I want to see them do a better job of that.
Got to be good to be lucky. Got to be lucky to be good. I'm loving watching Tyler squirm right now because he's got to pee and he's got to get out to Rogers Place. Score prediction anytime, goal scorer, my friend.
Shades of 2017. Give me a 6-2 Oilers win. Connor McDavid opens the scoring for the Oilers.
I like that. That's going to work with Bordzy's bankroll a little bit later for an anytime goal scorer. Ty, I love you. I appreciate you. Go get loud and do it proud down there at Rogers Place. Tonight, Pat, you can throw
Cup year, baby. Cup year, Lance. Let's go.
Throw up the full lines for me right now, and I can take a peek here. And then my boy, Patrick Buff, is going to join me as well for the rest of this pregame show and a little programming note as well. It's going to be me and Pat for a postgame. Might bring in Nation Dan for a little bit tonight as well. But once again, it's do or die time, and it feels like we're sending everybody at our company down to go and try and fight it out, try and stick it out with the Oilers tonight. Pat, which one am I looking for right here? Oilers lineup. There it is, absolutely. Pat, you're joining me now.
Yes.
We're down at Greta. You see the air hockey going. Where's your level of nerves right now?
Honestly, I probably should be a little more nervous, but I just have a weird feeling about today in a good way. We're coming home. The city is vibing. I know the Oilers in my heart are the better team.
Yes.
All we have to do is win tonight, and it's a one game series at that point. It's one game at a time. I tweeted this earlier. To win the Stanley Cup, you got to win 16 games. It doesn't matter if it's game 1. It doesn't matter if it's game 6. It doesn't matter if it's game 4. We just need 10 more wins, and tonight is going to be the first of those 10.
Nice. Sergeant Battle says Pat Pole Puff on the mic. Absolutely.
Dude, I can't make polls from over here.
Check that out. That's new, man.
Oh, what's that? Oh,
look at that.
That's fancy.
Dude, we upgraded our streaming software.
I like it.
A little bit of that. I didn't even realize till right now. But I mentioned at the top line, Connor McDavid. Frank right there saying that he believes McDavid is the Oiler with the most pressure on them tonight. I guess, hey, that takes pressure off of Stuart Skinner, so that has to be a good thing in that. But that made me a little bit nervous tonight. He's mentioned there's a sickness going through this locker room. McDavid, he's had bumps and bruises. He wasn't playing at the end of the regular season. We've heard rumors he's banged up. I know Connor, he's not going to make any excuses for that tonight back against the Wall. There's been numbers, I saw them earlier today, that In 8 career elimination games, McDavid has 12.5 goals, 7 assists. Oh, Leon Draisaitl, he has 3 goals, 10 assists. So they both average more than 1.5 points in elimination games. Connor's going to empty the tank tonight, right?
Yeah, I kind of agree with Frank.
I wore
on
my
that
good
one.
luck shirt. Yeah,
Hey, you got both of them on there. I do agree with Frank on that one. This is the game where you need your big players to step up and do their thing. Connor and Leon especially. Not that Leon's been amazing, obviously. Connor's still playing great. There's no argument about that. But in an elimination game where, it's do or die, they need to step up tonight, and they need to lead the team. That's why they got the C. That's why they got the A. And hopefully, that's what they do.
Yep, absolutely. I expect Leon to bring his game. He's brought it a whole playoffs long. As I mentioned, he has registered 8 points in every single game so far these playoffs. He obviously leads the NHL in playoff scoring. But, dude, I hate myself as I'm about to say this because it's so stereotypical. It's so obvious. The Edmonton Oilers need a full 60-minute effort tonight. It's so basic to say that, right? But that's been what we saw, especially in the last game. The final 40 minutes, they didn't even need to play them because they didn't bring any energy, any offense provided. It felt they were completely outworked and outclassed. We've talked about the in-game adjustments. We've talked about adjustments from game to game. We've seen Tocchet go with a different lineup. He's going to roll with that same lineup this evening. It's about what strings you can pull, which coach can win that battle. But I don't know. Nobby needs to find a way to adjust from period to period. It seems like, I don't know, in that last game, at least on the power play, you go 0 for 3 in the first period. You had to change something up at that point.
Yeah.
It was not working. They had no time and space, no area to make any kind of play, and it didn't feel like there were many adjustments throughout. What do you think about the full 60-minute effort?
I mean, we've talked about it a couple times already in this series and we can only complain about bad bounces and unlucky plays and whatnot so many times. We've talked about this team having the skill to beat the Vancouver Canucks. They just got to bring it for a full 60. So I agree. It's time that we see it, and there's no more excuses anymore. It's now or never to bring that game.
I think you just got to go back to the basics. That's one thing I absolutely thought they did not do well in Game 5. They lost their structure in there, and I mean, I've said it too many times. Give credit where credit's due. I'm tired of giving credit to the Vancouver Canucks because the Oilers' breakout was an absolute mess in Game 5. It felt they were rushing things. Canucks, great pressure on the forecheck. That's something they do very well, especially that Dakota Joshua line. But the Oilers' puck receivers were not going into open areas to try and give those puck carriers anywhere to put that puck. Then it felt like, okay, I'm just going to flick this one out of the zone. We'll try and get the puck back with no actual plan, no actual execution in there. And obviously that did not work. And that wasn't the case in Game 4. I thought the Oilers simplified their shit in Game 4. It was basics, besides maybe the final 10 minutes of that Game 4, but they played a much simpler game, and that's something I want to look for tonight. You hope you can connect with quick passes. Boom, get some speed up the neutral zone, because that's another thing I felt in the last game. All of their on-the-rush chances seem to be quickly off their sticks, active sticks. There was a bump there along the blue line. They just couldn't, skill players couldn't get time and space, and that starts from the breakout. You agree? Simple game tonight. Simple Daryl has been a theme we've said all season, and it's not just him. It's simple everybody.
Yeah, and something I've been preaching this whole series too is we're seeing a lot of flying up the wing and then hitting the brakes once you get to that ringette line, top of the circle area, and then looking back to the defense or for support. And sometimes that works 100%, but Vancouver's been very good at the second that winger or centerman hits the brakes on the boards, they're sending 2 guys at him, and you have no time to make that decision. We saw a couple times as well where Yaremchuk, Hyman, or Connor would take that puck around the net, and the Vancouver Canucks didn't know what to do there, so they chase them. They start checking. That's when you get the tripping calls, the hooking calls. And worst case scenario, you make it behind the net. Then you hit the brakes, and you've got time to make the play. Just something I'd like to see personally from them in this game. It gets it into the zone versus that, especially if we're not making those close 10-foot passes, right? If you're hitting the brakes and there's nothing there, I mean, I guess you could dump it in at that point.
But you're not going to have speed. You're not going to have much of a forecheck. And those big D-men, they're going to get the puck out, no problem.
Yeah, and that's just it, right? It's the effort of just taking it to the net and things will happen. Get those shots. And, even if you're on a weird angle, shoot for the opposite side and have everyone crash the net. There's just options there. And that's exactly what you said, of keeping it simple. We're trying to do these crazy, fancy passes. Just get it in the zone and get pucks on net.
And once again, I'm not going to tell the Oilers power play what to do, but I
No.
think that could apply maybe to there as well. But it was a tough one. Canucks put a lot of pressure on them. I'm looking right now. Sam
Yeah.
Carrick getting a nice warm-up. Some lineup news still says may play tonight. You want to keep it locked on Twitter
Yeah.
as
I'll keep
well
an eye.
on your phone. I got it in front of me. And I know every one of you in the chat, you got our backs. I saw Adam Ernie popped in here as well, and he said, holy hell, I'm nervous. I think everybody in this city is right now. Van Michael said Bordzy's shirt looks awesome. I
It
said
is.
this isn't 100% that I bat with this,
Yeah.
but without a doubt, my best shooting percentage for wins comes wearing this shirt. And there's some temperatures out here, but I'm willing to literally sweat it out all night long if that's what it's going to take. And the thing is, with this team, we'll kind of close it out here. 2 questions for you. We've seen this team play well with backs against the wall. I believe in McDry. I believe in their players. I'm putting down some hefty coin to show I believe in this game. I know we're biased and everything.
Yeah.
But I do think if the boys can't get fired up tonight, it's kind of been our thing all series, right? Where this team, this Canucks team, I don't think we've seen their A game. The Edmonton Oilers, if they bring their B+, their A, they should win this game, should win this series. And I simply believe if tonight you can't do that on home ice with your number one goaltender in the net, I know there's sickness, I know there's injury. Everybody is playing hurt or injured right now. If you can't get fired up and doing it here on home ice, you simply don't deserve to win the Stanley Cup. I know that is an obvious thing to say, but hey, I believe we're going to ride tonight. I'm seeing some negativity in the chat. We got to keep this going. And if you're going to the game, you got to fire the crowd up because at this company, hope will never die, people. My question to you, though, who's going to be the hero tonight? Give me an under the radar. Give me an on the radar and under the radar Oilers hero tonight. Who's going to step up, elevate big time?
I think, on the radar, obviously, Connor McDavid. Knock on wood, he's not one of the ones that's under the weather right now. And under the radar, someone who could come in, I still think it's Dylan Holloway. I think he's one guy on the team who's fought his way to be in this lineup. You can tell night in and night out, he has that energy. He has the effort. Plays may not always go his way. He's still young. He's still learning, but he's a guy that, especially in an elimination game, I can see him stepping up, crashing the net, throwing the body around, and just being a difference out there.
I could see Dylan Holloway laying. As I said, the McDavid Sean Dursey hit in Game 7, something early that gets that crowd off their feet and into that game, bringing some energy. My picks, Zach Hyman's going to score a big goal tonight. I do believe so.
Yep.
And then my under the radar in the bottom 6. I picked him for the Fernando Award, so Warren Fogle. If you want to earn that extra contract, I know you set career highs all season. I need to see it here in the playoffs because it really hasn't gone his way so far. Let's get into it now with the Sherwood Power Sports and Marine starting goaltenders report because they are now open in Sherwood Park. You know them, you love them. Service for all makes and models. Bring them all your service needs. You just need an inspection. You need a test run. You need some trailer TLC or just a fresh oil change. We'll go bring it out into Sherwood Park, Sherwood Power Sports and Marine. They've got you covered, and they got all kinds of sick new toys. Feels like summer right now. We got the patio open. It looks beautiful. Why don't you go down to Sherwood Power Sports and Marine and go check that bad boy out. So tonight, we only have these ones, right? Yes. Yes, we're going with these. We're going with Stuart Skinner so far from what we know. Sorry, Calvin Pickard. We love you. We talked about it in the chat. It's been funny to watch the chat. We made that poll there of, okay, it went from, I think, 87% on After Dark to 77% on ONE, and now it seems that everybody is in favor of Stuart Skinner. Those are his numbers overall in the playoffs so far. But, hey, he hasn't been good. We can't sugarcoat. This is your last chance here, obviously, in these playoffs to go out there and prove it, get it done. But it's no secret. He's a massive reason why we're down at this point in the series. You could have argued you got Calvin Pickard goaltending in the first 3 games. You might have been up 3-0. You might have been up 2-1. That's fantasy world. We live in reality where he wasn't good. But I believe, and so does Chris Knobloch, I love this quote. He said, we've seen Stu play unbelievable, really well for us. Steal games, just solid. He's been our guy all year. In a situation like this is who we want in net. That gets me fired up. Stu said he's excited for the opportunity. I love the confidence from Nobby. What do you think that Stu's had a couple games now to sit back, and you could argue that they said he needed rest. Well, he had a whole week off after last series, so I'm not going to use that one. This one is a time to sit on the bench mentally reflect, maybe reset. And if your coach believes in you and says stuff like that, do you believe in Stuart Skinner?
Yeah, 100%.
You're damn right we do.
Yeah, 100%. And sure, there's a little bit of nerves there, and I kind of understand the chat being a little bit doubtful. And you look at his numbers, and it doesn't look great. But at the end of the day, Nobby said it best. He's your guy, and I've been telling myself this all day because I was a little nervous about it at the start too. You got to imagine that Nobby and Skinner sat down together, and they had the conversation, and Nobby said, "You got this," in whatever words he would have put it.
Probably those words.
Probably those exact words. And Skinner said, "Yeah, I feel good. I'm ready." Skinner's been very honest in the media. He's been very open about, if he struggled mentally or had a bad game. If he wasn't feeling ready for this game, he would do what's best for the team and tell Knobloch, "I'm not feeling it. Put in Pickard." And obviously he didn't do that. He's feeling better. He's had a couple days to rest. The boys have been playing better in front of him. Not to say that Skinner was great in those first couple of games, but I mean, the team playing in front of him is a factor as well. So, I mean, yeah, I understand the hesitation, but Skinner's your guy, and I like the narrative too. If Skinner wins tonight and Skinner wins Game 7, even if he wins tonight, he's back, and then he wins Game 7, he is really back. And we go to Dallas feeling really good about Skinner in that.
I see Gito or Ghetto. Skinner can save us or destroy us. LOL. Yep. You have to feel right now there hasn't been much middle ground there, at least lately for Stuart Skinner. But Skinner's going to have himself a night in here. Matt Peters, Skinner's playing for his career tonight. All right, let's settle down with that one. Stuart Skinner will be the #1 goaltender for the Edmonton Oilers next season, whether you like it or not. He's also on a very team-friendly contract. And, there's another guy we're paying a lot of money to who isn't ever going to be on the bench again for the Edmonton Oilers. On the other side, it's going to be Archer Sheloves. Here are his numbers right there with one Thatcher Demko. Should ask Frank a little bit about that, but I think Sheloves, I don't know if it's going to 7 games. I'm keeping Sheloves in there. But once again, those are human numbers. Those are ordinary numbers. We've seen him struggle with traffic in front. We've seen him struggle with his glove. Credit where credit's due. He's been better than I thought he was. I will say he's looked more comfortable than I thought. He's made it this far. He's got 3 dubs in this series so far, and he's had good goaltending. Once again, Pat, he's beatable. He's human. The Oilers need to throw the kitchen sink at this man tonight. We keep talking about pressure in front of them in the blue paint, and we can keep talking about it. And I've seen some more effort to do it. I don't know, and this might sound crazy. I'm willing to give up a goaltender interference penalty if you go in there and really get this guy off his game.
Yeah, send Corey Perry or Evander Kane at him and just kind of muck things up right at the start.
Perry.
What did I say?
He can sit in the
Perry,
bench. He can sit down.
Yeah, and like you said, man, I no longer believe the narrative that Seelovs is goalieing us, that he is the Aiden Hill of last year, that he is this godlike goalie. Like, I understand he's been playing great, but we're also not seeing the offense from the Edmonton Oilers that we are used to seeing. Again, he's played great. His numbers are back to human levels. He's beatable. And it's as simple as these have been very close, 3-2 games. If the Oilers get 4 goals, we should be able to win. Knock on wood, fingers crossed. We had 5 power plays last game. I'm not saying and I'm not here saying that Seelovs is the reason we didn't score on those 5 power plays. That's all I'm saying.
No, absolutely. And you've seen him. You don't apologize for it, but the post has helped him out behind. Some of the guys in front of him have helped him out. You see Ghost in here says they just need to play physical. And Sadistic Angel,
such a big thing too.
We need to drive the Zamboni through this dude. Maybe not literally,
whatever it
takes. But how much do you love your team? That's the real question. Who's willing to do that? Somebody in here said not the kitchen sink. But so that's your starting goaltender report. We'll now move to the Vancouver Canucks lineup, brought to you by Greta Bar Yag. As I mentioned, we're here. Pat and I are pre-gaming. We're not going to be post-gaming tonight. We're going to be back at the studio, back at the office for tonight. Hopefully, with some positive vibes, breaking down some positive stuff in this game tonight. But we love Greta, my favorite spot in the entire city. You already knew that, folks. Sorry, I'm
double duty.
I'm doing double duty now while hosting and trying to produce. But you keep it locked on Twitter, because you've got Twitter duty as well.
I'm working on it.
Tonight, we're taking a peek at the projected Vancouver Canucks lineup. We know they're rolling with the same unit as the last game. Nils Höglander with Elias Lindholm and Elias Pettersson, the all-Swede line. Then it's Pius Suter with JT Miller and Brock Bessier with Dakota Joshua, with Teddy Bluger and Connor Garland Fourth line of PDG with Nils Oman and Vasily Podkolzin. D-core stays the same. Quinn Hughes with Philip Hronek, Carson Soucy with Tyler Myers, and Little Z with Ian Cole. Which one I got there? Yeah, boom, Bordsy, you're doing a great job. You're doing a great
Killing
job
it.
while doing this all. But as we mentioned, the Canucks, we'll just have them briefly here. That was their best punch, without a doubt, in Game 5. No reason to expect any lineup changes. We talked about I like Talkett's balls that he has on him to switch up those units. And the Garland, Lindholm, Joshua line was, I think, without a doubt, their best line that they had, the most consistent and definitely getting the Oilers off their game the most. He breaks that up to move Lindholm up with Elias Pettersson and Höglander. And while I maybe would say that third line, the Garland line, maybe didn't have the same energy they did in the others, they were still very good. And it looked like a good move to spread the wealth in that lineup. Pettersson did get on the score sheet. There's JT Miller's dumb face on the screen right now. I hate that. But what do you think about the move in the lineup in the last game to kind of switch things up like that?
Yeah, man, and that's just Rick Tocchet being an elite coach, right?
Jack Adams.
And
He's going to win it.
I won't say he got lucky, but it's the coach's dream to have, he swapped out the entire fourth line. They come in and they play hard, right? Like to have PDG Giuseppe come in and get a goal off the bench, I want to say that's elite level coaching, man. I respect it a lot. And it does send a message to the team. If you're not playing good, you're not playing. And they stepped up.
Yep, absolutely. Matt Peters in here said your high-pitched voice is annoying. I'm unsubscribed.
Hopefully that wasn't me. Now we got to talk
Too
about
bad,
this,
dude.
I guess.
See you later, buddy. See you later. But I just got some breaking news here
Oh,
for the Edmonton Oilers and their lineup. Corey Perry out
out.
of the lineup. So it's going to go the top six the way we know. RNH, McDavid, Hyman. Second line of Dylan Holloway, Leon Draisaitl, and Evander Kane. But the third line, Warren Fogle, Ryan McLeod, and Derek Ryan. There you go. Shout out to our
Good
boys,
command.
Matt Wozniak. DR10 is going to be on that third line. Fourth line, Janmark, Sam Carrick, and Connor Brown. So we got some late breaking news there. What do you think, DR10? He's been good. I don't want him coming out of the lineup, which is saying something because I've kind of been a guy all season that I said I thought DR10 was the 13th forward on this team. He gets elevated to the third line spot. Corey Perry, though, Frank Saravoli gave us reasons to believe in him, saying he has the most playoff experience in a big moment like this. That's a guy you'd want. Clearly, Chris Knobloch says, I've seen enough.
Yeah, man. Look, I agree with what Frank said, but at the same time, the guy is still in your locker room. The guy is still firing up the team. The guy still wants to win. Even if he's not on the ice, he's still helping the team. So, yeah, if you're going to put Carrick in, he's going to be out there banging bodies. Hopefully he comes out with a little bit of gumption, knowing he's trying to stay in the lineup if this goes to a Game 7. So, yeah, I've kind of been begging for this all series. I do think Carrick is a guy that can come in and be physical, and I think that is probably one of the biggest keys for tonight's game, this first period especially. We have to be physical. Watching all of the other series go on, the Florida-Boston, the Stars-Avalanche series, they're out there, they're banging bodies, and I don't want to say it makes the other team scared to touch the puck, but they start thinking twice. Their passes are a little bit off, and maybe that's what we were seeing from the Oilers a little bit in the last game, right? We came out a little hot. Vancouver brought the heat physically, and the Oilers, they weren't making those passes anymore, and it's as simple as that. So I like Carrick in. Hopefully he can step up. Ryan certainly deserves to be on that third line. He is constantly the first man in. He battles so great along the boards. It's fun to watch. So, yeah, great for Derek Ryan, and I don't mind this at all.
I don't either. I like the energy that Sam Carrick's going to bring in. Shout out to the maple syrup and the Carrick Bros for sending us some syrup ourselves. Is absolutely delicious. But I like that third line, Yee 20, DR hat-trick watch.
Woo.
I doubt they even offered that on that way. I don't think anyone would even imagine that happening. But I like where your mind's at with that one. So what's the fourth line, says Yee. Matthias Janmark, Sam Carrick, and Connor Brown. So let's see what goes here. Is now, once again, you have one of your trade deadline acquisitions in the lineup here.
Yep, that too.
Rico, he's confirmed out of the lineup tonight. And Troy Stetcher, he's not going to be there. Well, let's think about that one. And while we do that, let's get into Betway 19+. Please play responsibly. It's time for Bordzy's bankroll, because with Betway, you can win a free bet up to $200. All you got to do, let me get this QR code if I can get this up on the screen. Give me a moment while I try and do this. You can, by scanning the QR code, you can get in, join the action. Come on, there we are. There we are. I'm doing it all. But shout out Betway. You scan that code. If your first bet loses, you can get redeemed up to whatever you put in, up to $200. This offer, though, is only available outside of Ontario. Tonight, though, for Bordzy's bankroll. Oh my God, I have to make the poll too, don't I?
Yeah,
I got to do this.
unfortunately.
I got to do this all. Okay, I'm going to throw up Bordzy's bankroll right here. So your first choice is Edmonton money line and dry to get 2+ points. Currently at plus 155. I mentioned elimination games. Leon Draisaitl has 13 points in 8 games, I do believe. Yep, that is correct. So I think he's going to come out storming. He's been the play driver on that line. I also like him for power play goal or power play point if you were thinking about that. But then the other guy, it's Evan Bouchard, 1+ power play point, currently at plus 110. He's third in NHL scoring right now from the back end. He's been, without a doubt, I think the Oilers' best defenseman, ignoring that last second goal that he gave up to PDG in the last game to tie it up. And then your final option, number 97, anytime goal, plus 105. Big-time players make big-time plays in big-time moments. I think Connor McDavid's going to be shooting the puck, or at least looking to shoot the puck a little bit more tonight. And angry Connor, you know it. He comes out usually and comes out guns blazing. Patty boy, I'm going to throw this in the YouTube.
Yep.
Which of those bets do you like the most? Cover for me.
Yeah, I think looking at that, I agree with Frank. He mentioned his anytime goal scorer was Evan Bouchard, and he's a guy who stepped up for us multiple times already these playoffs with clutch game-winning goals. Granted, yes, he's had a couple slip-ups defensively, but I think the power play is going to be on tonight. You know, not scoring on 5 power plays is an anomaly. I don't see that happening again tonight, so I like the Bouchard point 100%. And obviously, I like the Connor McDavid goal because, again, this is a night we need Oilers, big stars to step up. Connor McDavid, Leon Draisaitl. So I love that one. And one thing we didn't talk about as far as the lineup goes is, you know, Frank mentioned this illness that's going around the room, a bunch of people being out potentially. Nomlock sounding a little bit nervous about that. But looking at this lineup, I don't see any major names not playing because they're sick. Maybe that's a good and a bad thing because they're in the lineup, but maybe still feeling a little under the weather. But
at least they're ready to go.
But at least they're playing, and that's I think that's a good sign for me. So I'm going to go Bouchard for Betway, and I'm just going to say I'm happy that the lineup's looking full tonight.
Yep, absolutely. And maybe it's addition by subtraction, taking one Corey Perry out. I just made the poll so people get in YouTube right now and decide where I'm going to send my money. For me, out of these ones I like the most, it's option number 1. I think Leon's going to be everything he's been throughout these playoffs.
Yeah.
It's not like he'd do anything he hasn't been doing all along. So I like that. When I look in here, it's just a couple of votes, but the chat seems to agree.
Yeah.
Dry 2+ points and Edmonton Oilers money line. People,
Hard to
I'm
argue
not
that.
going to say it, but it could have been our last time. No, I guess I am going to say it. It could be our last time pre-gaming together all season long. I love you all. It's not going to be.
Right.
We're going to do this again Monday, long weekend. I don't give a shit. I want to be back at Greta in the same seat, in the same spots, getting ready for Game 7. Stuart Skinner, we believe in you. I love you. Please do your best. Once again, shout out to Pat for coming on, doing double duty. I'm doing double duty. We had Tyler come in. Big shout out to Frank Saravoli, dropping some street cred on pre-gaming now, so we can say we've had him as a guest. Big shout out to our sponsors, Sherwood Ford, the Giant for a reason, Sherwood Power Sports and Marine, Greta Bar Yeg, of course, Betway 19+, please play responsibly. Will Hawk Beef Jerky for, I should have brought some munch because we're going to be stressed out. Damn it.
A little bit.
That is a missed opportunity. And then, of course, that's going to be it. So it'll be afterwards, me and Pat doing a little ON After Dark back from the office. Might have Nation Dan join us. Maybe we'll see if we get any Tyler Yaremchuk's live and in the flesh when he's angry and sad, or when he's incredibly happy and jacked up partying out of his skull. I love you all. Good luck out there in the Betway Battlegrounds. We'll see you right here on the ON YouTube right after the game. Good luck, everybody.